Commander Susan Brooks stood in the Galactic Council chamber. Her hands gripped the metal rail in front of her. The voting had started an hour ago, and it wasn't going well for Earth. Above her head, giant screens showed the votes as they came in. The crystal beings from Vega went first. Their lights flashed red. Guilty. The bug-like Zephyrins came next. Their many arms moved in the signal for guilty. One by one, every alien species in the galaxy voted the same way. Susan watched as more red lights filled the screens. The fish people from the water world of Aquarius voted guilty. The floating gas clouds from Jupiter's moons voted guilty. Even the peaceful plant creatures from the forest planet voted against humanity. Lieutenant Paul Harrison stood next to Susan. He was younger and couldn't hide his anger as well as she could. "This isn't fair," he whispered. "What crime did we commit? Being too loud. Building things too fast." "Quiet," Susan said softly. She had to stay calm. Earth needed her to stay calm. The council speaker floated in the center of the huge room. It looked like a giant octopus made of light. Its many tentacles moved in slow patterns as it spoke. "The voting is complete. All 212 member species have cast their votes." The room fell silent. Thousands of aliens from different worlds watched from the gallery seats. Some had scales, some had fur, some were made of rock or energy. But they all looked at the two humans with the same expression, relief that the dangerous species would finally be contained. Earth stands accused of aggressive expansion, reckless technological development, and disturbing the peace of our galaxy. The speaker continued. Its voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. "The verdict is unanimous. Guilty on all charges." Susan felt Paul tense beside her. She put a hand on his arm. "Not yet. Let them finish. The sentence is exile," the speaker announced. "Earth and all human colonies must withdraw from galactic space. You have one standard cycle to remove your species from all territory outside your home system. Any humans found in council space after the deadline will be arrested. One standard cycle. 6 months in Earth time." Susan did the math quickly in her head. Humanity had colonies on 43 worlds, space stations around 100 more, mining operations, research bases, trade posts scattered across thousands of star systems. How could they move 3 billion people in 6 months? The speaker wasn't finished. "During the evacuation period, human ships will be monitored. Any aggressive action will result in immediate military response. The jump gates to Earth will be sealed once the evacuation is complete. This exile is permanent." Now Paul couldn't hold back. "You're condemning us to die. Earth alone can't support our population anymore. We need those colonies for food, for resources." Susan squeezed his arm harder. "Thank you for clarifying the terms," she said, her voice steady and clear. "The people of Earth accept the Council's decision. We will begin preparations immediately." The silence that followed was deafening. Aliens shifted in their seats, tentacles twitching, scales rustling. They had expected arguments, threats, maybe even violence. Humans were known for their emotional responses. This calm acceptance felt wrong. The Altarian ambassador, a tall being made of blue crystal, leaned forward. "You accept." Without protest. Susan turned to face the gallery. 3 billion humans were watching this moment through quantum communicators. Earth's colonies, its ships, its space stations. Everyone was waiting to hear what she would say. "Of course we accept," Susan said. Her smile was polite, professional. "You've made your position very clear. Humanity is not welcome here. We understand completely." She turned back to the speaker. "We'll need the official evacuation orders sent to all human settlements. I assume you have a list." The speaker's tentacles twisted in what might have been confusion. "Yes, of course. But Commander Brooks." "Then we have a lot of work to do," Susan interrupted. "If you'll excuse us, we need to inform our people. 6 months isn't much time." She turned and walked toward the exit. Paul followed, his face still red with anger. As the doors closed behind them, Susan heard the aliens beginning to talk among themselves. They sounded worried. Good, she thought. They should be worried. In the hallway outside, Paul finally exploded. Commander, how could you just accept that? They're destroying us. Susan kept walking. Her smile never wavered. Paul, do you remember the old Earth saying about not throwing stones in glass houses? What does that have to do with everything we've built out here? Every station, every colony, every jump gate. Who maintains it all? Paul stopped walking. Understanding dawned on his face. We do. Every trade route uses our gates. Every medical center runs on our technology. Half their food supply comes from human agricultural worlds. Susan's smile turned sharp. They want us gone. Fine. But they didn't say we had to leave our toys behind. Paul's anger transformed into something else. Something that looked like hope. We're taking it all with us. Every last bolt, Susan confirmed. They want a galaxy without humans. They're about to learn exactly what that means. As they walked toward their ship, Susan activated her communicator. She had calls to make, plans to set in motion. The Galactic Council thought they were exiling a troublesome species. They had no idea what they had just voted for. Earth had been given 6 months to leave. Susan intended to make sure that when humanity left, the galaxy would never forget them. The exile had begun, but it wouldn't end the way the aliens expected. President Lisa Garcia looked out at the crowd filling the United Earth Assembly Hall. Every seat was taken. People stood in the aisles and doorways. Camera drones floated overhead, sending her image to human colonies across the galaxy. Behind her, huge screens showed maps of human space. Red dots marked Earth's 43 colonies. Blue dots showed the 200 space stations. Yellow dots marked the thousands of mining operations and research bases. So many dots, so many homes. My fellow humans, she began. Her voice was calm but strong. 3 days ago, the Galactic Council voted to exile us from their space. They gave us 6 months to leave. The crowd stirred but stayed quiet. They had all watched Commander Brooks accept the verdict. They knew this moment was coming. They think they're punishing us. Lisa continued. They think we'll crawl back to Earth with our heads down. They think we'll abandon everything we've built and disappear quietly. She paused and smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. They're wrong. The screens behind her changed. New images appeared. Massive transport ships, bigger than any ever built. Construction robots working around the clock. Entire cities being carefully taken apart and packed into containers. I'm announcing Operation Exodus, Lisa said. We're not abandoning anything. We're taking it all with us. Every building, every machine, every grain of soil from our terraformed worlds. If they want us gone, we'll go. But we're not leaving them a single atom of human achievement. The crowd erupted. People cheered, cried, hugged each other. The sound was deafening. Captain Kevin Martinez watched the president's speech from the bridge of his ship, the Northern Star. Through the windows, he could see New Phoenix below, humanity's first colony outside the solar system. The city sprawled across the continent, home to 50 million people. Captain, we're getting the evacuation orders, his communications officer reported. Kevin nodded. Put them on the main screen. The orders were simple but shocking. Don't just evacuate the people. Take everything. Buildings, roads, power plants, even the topsoil from the farms. Leave nothing behind. Sir, that's impossible, his first officer, Janet Williams, said. How do we move an entire city? Kevin studied the plans that came with the orders. We don't move it. We take it apart piece by piece. Look, they're sending us construction drones, matter converters, molecular storage units. Everything goes into these new transport ships they're building. Janet whistled softly. They're really doing it. They're stealing our colonies back. Not stealing, Kevin corrected. It was always ours. We built it. We maintained it. Now we're taking it home. In the engineering section of Space Station Alpha, Chief Engineer Ryan Cooper worked with his team to understand their new orders. The station orbited a major trade hub where dozens of alien species met to exchange goods. "Okay, people, listen up," Ryan said to his mixed human and alien crew. "Earth wants us to start disconnecting our systems from the alien sections of the station." Talk, an insect like Zephyrin, raised one of his 4 arms. "But the human systems run everything. Life support, gravity, power generation. Without them, the alien sections won't function." Ryan shrugged. "Not our problem anymore. They wanted us gone, remember. We're just following orders." The human crew members exchanged knowing looks. The aliens looked worried. Over the next weeks, the galaxy watched in growing alarm as humanity began the largest migration in history. The new transport ships were engineering marvels. Each one could hold an entire city, broken down and stored in compressed matter fields. On Harvest, the galaxy's biggest agricultural world, massive machines worked day and night. They scooped up the rich farm soil that humans had spent decades perfecting. They carefully dug up every fruit tree, every vegetable plant. They drained the lakes and packed up the water purification systems. The Etherian observer sent to monitor the evacuation floated next to Farm Director Sarah Kim. Its ghostly form flickered with distress. "You're taking the dirt," it asked in disbelief. But this is a living world. You can't just watch us," Sarah said cheerfully. "This soil has Earth bacteria in it, Earth nutrients. It's ours. Your council was very clear. They want everything human gone. We're just being thorough." She pointed to the massive excavators. "Don't worry. I'm sure the bedrock underneath will grow food just fine. Maybe in a few thousand years." The same scene played out across human space. Factories were dismantled bolt by bolt. Hospitals were packed up, including all the medical equipment and research data. Schools vanished overnight, taking their libraries and databases with them. But the real shock came when humans began dismantling the jump gate network. Admiral Julia Chung supervised the operation from the command station. The jump gates were huge structures that created artificial wormholes between star systems. Humanity had built most of them. "Gate 7 is ready for breakdown," her engineer reported. "Begin the process," Julia ordered. On the screen, the massive ring-shaped gate began to fold in on itself. Specialized ships moved in to collect the pieces. In minutes, the shortcut between 2 major trade systems vanished. Julia's communication system lit up with incoming messages. Dozens of alien species were calling, panicking about their trade routes. She ignored them all. Her Altarian aide approached carefully. "Admiral, the Council is demanding an explanation. Without the jump gates, travel between systems will take months instead of hours." Julia didn't look away from the screen. "Tell the Council they wanted us gone. The jump gates use human technology. We can't leave such dangerous equipment behind. I'm sure they understand." The aide's crystal form flickered with worry. "But the entire galactic economy depends on those gates." Then they should have thought of that before they voted. By the end of the first month, the scope of humanity's departure was clear. They weren't just leaving. They were erasing every trace of their presence. And the galaxy was beginning to realize what they had done. Ambassador Kyle Thompson walked into the Galactic Council meeting room with a smile on his face. The alien delegates had called this emergency session after 2 months of human evacuation. They looked worried. Kyle liked that. The council speaker's tentacles moved nervously as Kyle took his seat. Around the table, representatives from dozens of species watched him carefully. "Ambassador Thompson," the speaker began, "we've called this meeting to discuss certain concerns about your evacuation procedures." Kyle leaned back in his chair. "Oh, is there a problem? We're leaving as requested. Actually, we're ahead of schedule." The vegan representative's crystal body flashed red. "You're dismantling the jump gates." "Yes," Kyle nodded. "Human technology. Very dangerous in the wrong hands. You said so yourselves during the trial. But the trade routes. A furry Centauran started. Will still exist, Kyle interrupted smoothly. Ships can travel between stars the old-fashioned way. Takes a few months instead of a few hours, but I'm sure you'll adapt. The room erupted in angry voices. Tentacles waved, scales rattled, energy beings flickered. Kyle sat calmly through it all, that same polite smile never leaving his face. Furthermore, the Regellian delegate screeched, "Your people are removing infrastructure from mixed-species colonies. Hospital equipment, power generators, water systems. All human-designed and built," Kyle said. "We have the receipts if you'd like to see them." The Etherian ambassador floated forward. "What about the medical facilities? Half the galaxy relies on human doctors and human medical technology." Kyle's smile widened. "We're very touched by your concern. Don't worry. We're leaving you detailed instructions on which local plants can be used for basic remedies. Very traditional. Very safe." "This is outrageous." The Zephyran representative's forearms waved frantically. "You're destroying galactic civilization." "No," Kyle said, his voice suddenly sharp. "We're removing human civilization. You voted for this. We're simply being thorough." On the mining world of Drax 7, Operations Manager Carol Foster supervised the final shutdown. The planet was ugly, nothing but rocks and mining tunnels. But those tunnels held the galaxy's largest deposits of trilithium crystals, the power source for most advanced technology. Carol watched her crews carefully pack up every piece of mining equipment. Massive excavators folded into impossibly small storage units using human compression technology. Kilometer-long conveyor systems vanished into transport containers. The Altarian overseer approached her, his blue crystal form pulsing with anxiety. "Ms. Foster, surely you're leaving the extraction systems. The galaxy needs these crystals." Carol checked her tablet. "Sorry, but these are all human systems. The drills, the processors, the safety equipment, all ours. But without them, how will we mine the trilithium? The old-fashioned way, I guess. Picks and shovels. Though I wouldn't recommend it. Trilithium is pretty toxic without proper handling equipment." She pointed to the nearest tunnel. "We're also collapsing most of the mine shafts. Safety reasons. Can't leave dangerous holes in the ground." The Altarian's glow dimmed. "You're sealing away the crystal deposits." "Not our problem," Carol shrugged. "You've got 4 months to figure something out." Meanwhile, at Research Station Gamma in the Horsehead Nebula, Dr. Amy Chen was having a similar conversation with her alien colleagues. The station had been a joint operation, with scientists from many species working together. "Amy, please," begged Dr. Rix, a plant-like being from the forest world of Verdania. "The plague cure research, surely you'll share the data. My people are still suffering." Amy felt bad for Rix. They had worked together for years. But orders were orders. "I'm sorry, Rix. All human-developed research has to come with us. Intellectual property laws." "But we worked on it together." Rix's leaves turned brown with distress. "You're right," Amy agreed. She handed Rix a small data pad. "Here's all the research you personally contributed. Your observations, your theory notes. Everything else was processed through human computers, using human methods. That makes it ours." She started packing up the laboratory equipment. Quantum microscopes went into cases. Bioscanners disappeared into storage units. Even the coffee machine got packed away. "The navigation improvements for traveling through nebulas?" asked Tichar, a gas being from Jupiter's moons. "Human algorithms," Amy said. "The gravity wave detection system. Human sensors. The cafeteria food recipes." Amy almost laughed. "Definitely human. Though you're welcome to try recreating Thursday's meatloaf special. No one could figure out what was in it anyway." As the weeks passed, alien ships gathered near human facilities, watching the great dismantling. They sent message after message, growing more desperate with each passing day. Trade routes were failing. Medical crises went untreated. Food supplies dwindled as human agricultural worlds packed up their farms. The elaborate web of galactic civilization, built over centuries of cooperation, was falling apart. In the council chambers, emergency sessions became daily events. The aliens argued among themselves, blamed each other, demanded solutions that didn't exist. "Perhaps we could negotiate," suggested the vegan representative one day. "Offer them something to leave the infrastructure." "With what?" snapped the Etherian ambassador. "They're taking their entire economy with them. What could we possibly offer?" The council speaker's tentacles drooped. "Maybe we could apologize. Ask them to stay." Silence filled the chamber. No one wanted to admit the truth. They had made a terrible mistake. The humans weren't just leaving. They were taking the heart of galactic civilization with them. And there were still 4 months left in the evacuation. Dr. Rachel Green stood in the empty hall of the Crimson Nebula Science Station. The research facility had once buzzing with activity. Scientists from 20 different species had worked here side by side. Now, only the human staff remained, and they were leaving too. "Final data transfer complete," her colleague Dr. Stephen Ward announced. "All human research has been secured and deleted from the shared servers." Rachel looked at the bare walls where awards and discoveries had once hung. This station had cured diseases, unlocked the secrets of dark matter, and mapped distant galaxies. None of that knowledge would remain. Tlak, her Altarian research partner, floated nearby. His blue crystal form pulsed with distress. "Rachel, please reconsider. Our work on the stellar plague cure. My world needs it. Thousands are dying." Rachel felt genuine pain as she answered. "The cure used human DNA sequencing technology. I can only give you the notes from your own contributions." She handed him a small data crystal. "This contains everything you personally discovered. The rest goes with us. But we worked together. Our discoveries built on each other." "I know. I'm sorry." Rachel sealed another box of equipment. But the council's ruling was clear: complete separation. No human technology or knowledge can remain in council space. Across the station, similar conversations happened. The Zephyrin biochemist begged for the enzyme synthesis data. The vegan physicist pleaded for the wormhole stability equations. The humans could only shake their heads and continue packing. In the economic center of the galactic trade hub, Director Gregory Adams oversaw the shutdown of humanity's financial systems. For over a century, Earth's banking networks had helped manage interstellar commerce. Now, those systems were going dark. "Sir, I'm getting urgent calls from 17 planetary governments," his assistant, Lisa Park, reported. "The Centauri Commonwealth says their entire pension system will collapse without our investment algorithms." Gregory didn't look up from his work. "Not our problem. Transfer all human-owned assets to the Exodus accounts. Cancel all loan guarantees. Void all insurance policies." "But sir, that will crash their economies." They should have considered that before exiling their economic partners. Gregory typed in another command: "Make sure every human credit, every investment, every piece of our financial infrastructure leaves with us." On the agricultural research station above Harvest Prime, Dr. Patricia Wilson supervised the extraction of humanity's greatest agricultural achievements. The station had developed crops that could grow in alien soils, creating food security for dozens of worlds. Her Draxi colleague, Vorton, watched in horror as robots packed away seed banks. "Dr. Wilson, without those hybrid grains, my planet will face famine. Our entire agricultural system depends on human-developed crops." Patricia paused in her work. She liked Vorton. They'd worked together for years. "I'm leaving you the native plant samples you contributed. But the hybrids, the gene modifications, the growth accelerators, those are human innovations. Billions will starve. Then your government should have voted differently." Patricia sealed another container. "I'm sure the mighty Draxi can figure out farming. You did it before humans arrived. That was 1,000 years ago. We've forgotten the old ways." Patricia's expression hardened. Then I suggest you remember quickly. The knowledge drain accelerated. Libraries closed as humans downloaded and deleted their contributions. Technical schools shut down as human teachers departed with their curricula. Research databases went dark as human-generated data was removed. Dr. Alan Cruz managed the shutdown of the Galactic Medical Academy. The institution had trained doctors from every known species, sharing human medical knowledge freely. Now that generosity was ending. Professor Cruz, the Academy's Etherian administrator, pleaded, "Surely the medical textbooks can remain. They save lives across the galaxy." Alan looked at the empty shelves where medical texts once stood. Those books were written by human doctors, based on human research. We're taking them home. What about the surgical techniques? The diagnostic procedures? Human innovations? Sorry. Alan packed the last box. Unsure your species' traditional medicine will suffice. You managed before we arrived. The administrator's gaseous form churned with anxiety. We've integrated human medicine so completely. Without it, our healthcare will collapse. Democracy has consequences. Alan replied. Your people voted. This is the result. By the 4th month, the full scope of humanity's importance became clear. They hadn't just been members of galactic society. They'd been its backbone. Their technology, knowledge, and expertise had woven itself into every aspect of alien civilization. On Earth, President Garcia received constant messages from alien governments begging for mercy. Trade deals were offered. Apologies were made. Some even suggested reconsidering the Exile vote. But it was too late. The great dismantling continued. Humanity packed away its gifts to the galaxy, piece by piece. The aliens had demanded separation, and they were getting it. Completely, thoroughly, and devastatingly. In the council chambers, representatives met in confusion and fear. Without translators, they couldn't communicate. Without human advisors, they couldn't solve the growing crisis. Without human technology, their civilizations were beginning to crumble. They had voted to exile Earth, believing humans were the problem. Now they were discovering that humans had been the solution all along. Admiral Nathan Torres stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Exodus, the largest vessel ever built by human hands. Through the massive windows, he could see humanity's great fleet gathering. 10,000 ships carrying 3 billion people and everything they had built among the stars. "Status report," he commanded. Captain Diana Rodriguez stepped forward. "All civilian ships are accounted for, Admiral. The industrial vessels have completed their collection runs. The mobile habitats are powered and ready." Nathan nodded. It was time for the final phase. Begin Operation Dark Sky. Across human space, the last connections to the galaxy began to shut down. Navigation beacons that had guided ships for centuries went dark. Mining stations that had fed alien factories powered down. Automated medical centers that had served frontier worlds closed their doors forever. On the bridge of a patrol ship near the Vegan border, Captain James Miller received his final orders. "All units, this is command. Initiate stealth protocol. Go dark in 3, 2, 1. James flipped the switches. His ship vanished from every alien sensor in the sector. The new stealth technology, developed in secret over the past months, bet light and energy around the hull. To the galaxy's scanning systems, the human fleet had simply disappeared. "Sir, we're getting panic transmissions from the Vegan outpost," his communications officer reported. "They're reporting system failures, lost contacts. Ignore them. We're ghosts now." James watched as more human ships vanished from the screens. Set course for the rendezvous point. In the Galactic Council chambers, emergency alarms blared. The massive tactical display that had always shown the location of every major ship now displayed empty space where the human fleet had been. Where are they? The Regellian delegates' tentacles whipped in agitation. 3 billion humans don't just disappear. The Etherian flicked between scanner readings. Our sensors show nothing. It's as if they never existed. The Zephyrin military commander shuddered nervously. Their entire fleet is gone. Cargo ships, military vessels, even the colony transports, all invisible. On the medical station Haven, Dr. Jennifer Blake finished the last shutdown procedure. The station had served the frontier worlds for 50 years, providing emergency care to anyone who needed it. Now its halls were empty, its equipment packed away. "Ma'am, the Draxi colony is reporting a medical emergency," her aide said. "Their outbreak is spreading. They need our help." Jennifer looked at the dark screens, the empty beds. "We're no longer authorized to provide assistance to Council species. Our mission here is over." She walked to the escape pods where the last human staff waited. As their pod launched, the station's lights went out one by one. Another human gift to the galaxy, gone dark. The transportation network felt the loss next. Jump gates failed as their human-built control systems shut down. Ships found themselves stranded between stars. Trade routes that had taken hours now required months of conventional travel. Admiral Kraft of the Collective Fleet watched helplessly as the jump gate before him flickered and died. "Can we repair it?" His engineer's feathers drooped. "The control systems are encrypted with human codes. Without their technicians, we're stuck." Kraft looked at the star charts. What had been a 2-day journey to the home world would now take 8 months. His supplies wouldn't last 3. Earth's weather control satellites around terraformed worlds shut down next. Without human maintenance, carefully balanced climates began to fail. Desert worlds that had been made green started to heat up again. Ice planets that had been warmed began to freeze. Governor Tlax of New Prosperity watched his sky change color as the atmospheric processors went offline. How long before the air becomes unbreathable? His science advisor calculated quickly. Without the human systems, 6 months, maybe less. By the 5th month, the galaxy was in crisis. Economies had collapsed without human banking. Plagues spread without human medicine. Pirates ruled space lanes without human patrols. Worlds faced famine without human agriculture. In Earth's solar system, the final preparations were complete. President Garcia stood before the assembled fleet commanders. Behind them, Earth itself was hidden behind massive shield generators, invisible to any scanning technology. "Ladies and gentlemen, Operation Breakaway begins now. All ships, prepare for departure." The human fleet, invisible and untraceable, began to move. They headed not for any known jump point, but toward the edge of the galaxy itself, toward the void that no species had ever successfully entered. Behind them, they left a galaxy beginning to understand the true cost of fear and prejudice. The aliens had voted to exile humanity. Now they were learning what life without humans really meant. The Council sent desperate messages into the void, begging humanity to return. But the frequencies were dead, the jump points sealed. Earth had vanished as completely as if it had never existed. The galaxy had gotten its wish. Humanity was gone. The void stretched before humanity's fleet like an ocean of perfect darkness. No stars shone here. No planet circled. It was the empty space between galactic arms that every species said was impossible to cross. Dr. Charles Yang stood in the observation deck of the science vessel Horizon. His team had worked for months on the equations. The math said it could be done. The other species had been wrong. The void wasn't empty. It was full of possibility. "Initialize the quantum bridge generators," he ordered. Outside, massive structures came online. Each one was the size of a small moon, built in secret during the evacuation. They arranged themselves in a precise pattern around the fleet. "Energy levels are stable," reported Dr. Nina Patel, his second in command. "The quantum field is forming." Charles watched the instruments carefully. They were about to attempt something no species had ever managed, creating a stable pathway through the void. The technology was based on human physics that the aliens had always dismissed as impossible. "My God," Nina whispered. "It's working." Before them, space itself began to bend. A tunnel of twisted reality formed, leading deep into the darkness. The path was stable, safe, and completely invisible to anyone without human technology. On the command ship, Admiral Torres received the confirmation. All vessels, prepare for void entry. Stay in formation. Follow the beacon ships. One by one, 10,000 ships entered the quantum bridge. Families pressed against windows, watching the strange colors of bent space flash by. Children born during the Exodus saw wonders their parents could barely understand. Captain Helen Ross piloted one of the beacon ships. These special vessels guided the fleet through the quantum tunnel, making sure no one got lost in the impossible geometries of folded space. Steady as she goes, she told her crew. The journey will take 3 weeks. Then we'll reach the other side. Back in Council space, the galaxy fell into deeper chaos. The Galactic Council met in emergency session after emergency session, but without human translators, they couldn't understand each other. Each species was trapped in its own language bubble. The vegan representative held up a tablet showing economic charts. All red, all falling. The wealth of entire systems was evaporating without human banking systems. The Zephyrin delegate displayed images of dying crops. Without human agricultural science, food supplies were failing on 100 worlds. The Etherian flickered with reports of spreading diseases. Without human medicine, old plagues were returning, and new ones couldn't be stopped. But worst of all were the messages from frontier worlds. Without jump gates, without patrols, without communication networks, entire civilizations were being cut off from each other. The galaxy was fragmenting into isolated pockets. 3 weeks later, humanity's fleet emerged from the void into a new galaxy. The first thing they saw took their breath away. 3 suns dancing together, their combined light painting space in colors no human had ever seen. Scans showed 12 habitable worlds in this system alone, reported the survey team. No signs of advanced civilization. It's all ours. President Garcia stood on the bridge of the Exodus, tears in her eyes. We made it. We're home. The fleet spread out, each ship heading for its assigned world. The mobile habitats took up orbits. The industrial vessels began unpacking cities. The agricultural ships looked for the best places to plant Earth's stolen soil. Within days, the first human settlements were taking shape under alien suns. Children played in the light of 3 stars. Farmers tested new Earth under strange skies. Scientists studied phenomena that would have amazed their former colleagues. But the real moment of triumph came when the communication systems powered up. Madam President, the communications director reported, we're detecting signals from this galaxy. 3 species, all primitive, all curious about us. Garcia smiled. Open channels. Let's introduce ourselves properly this time. The first contact was with a species that looked like Earth's dolphins, but lived on land. They were friendly, eager to learn, excited about the new neighbors who had appeared from nowhere. You came from another galaxy. Their leader asked through the newly calibrated translators. How is that possible? We'll be happy to share our knowledge. Garcia replied. We believe in cooperation, in mutual benefit. But first, let us tell you about ourselves, our history, our hopes for the future. As humanity began making friends in their new home, their old galaxy continued to struggle. The Council tried desperately to re-establish contact with Earth, but it was impossible. The humans had vanished so completely that some species began to wonder if they had ever existed at all. Only the failing systems, the silent jump gates, and the empty worlds remained as proof that humanity had once been there. The galaxy had exiled Earth. Now they were learning that some decisions couldn't be taken back. In their new home, humanity thrived. They built cities under triple suns, made friends with species who welcomed them, and created a future where fear and prejudice had no place. They had been pushed from their first home, but in trying to cage humanity, the galaxy had only set them free to find a better one. 6 months had passed since humanity disappeared. The Galactic Council chamber was a shadow of its former glory. Paint peeled from walls. Lights flickered and died. Without human maintenance, even the mighty council building was falling apart. The speaker floated at the center, its tentacles drooping with exhaustion. The few representatives who could still travel to the capital sat in worried silence. Most couldn't make the journey anymore. The jump gates were dead, and conventional travel took too long. Trade in Sector 7 has completely stopped. The Rigelian delegate reported through a crackling translator. The device was alien-made, poor quality compared to the human version. Without jump gates, our merchant ships can't reach their destinations. The vegan representative's crystal form had lost its shine. Medical emergency on 12 of our worlds. The plague is spreading. Our doctors don't know how to stop it without human research. The Zephyrin clicked its mandibles sadly. Food riots on our outer colonies. The crops are dying. We tried to plant our old native species, but we've forgotten how to grow them. Every report was the same. Systems failing. Economies crashing. Diseases spreading. Worlds starving. The great galactic civilization was crumbling like sand. The Etherian delegate flickered weakly. Perhaps we made a mistake. A mistake. The Draxi's scales rattled with bitter laughter. We exiled the species that held our society together. We threw away the beings who made our prosperity possible. That's not a mistake. It's suicide. In the historical archives, a young Altarian researcher named Quelix studied the old records. Before the vote, before the exile, there had been warnings. Human philosophers had written about the interconnectedness of galactic society. Human economists had shown how much the aliens depended on Earth's contributions. Human scientists had explained that cooperation made everyone stronger. The aliens had ignored them all. Look at this, Quelix told his colleague, showing a data crystal. The humans offered to share everything freely. Technology, medicine, knowledge, all of it. They only asked for respect and equality in return. His colleague's crystal form pulsed with regret. And we called them dangerous. We said they were too ambitious, too aggressive. But look at us now. They're gone, and we're dying. Quelix found more records. Videos of human teachers patiently explaining complex ideas to alien students. Images of human doctors working tirelessly to save alien lives. Data showing human engineers maintaining systems across the galaxy without asking for credit. They never forced their help on anyone, he realized. They just offered it, and we were so afraid of their energy, their passion, that we pushed them away. On the former human colony of New Haven, a Centauri salvage team searched the empty city. They hoped to find some working technology, some forgotten database, anything that might help their failing world. Captain Vrex led his team through the spotless streets. The humans had taken everything, even the streetlights. Only bare ground remained where a thriving metropolis had stood. "Sir, I found something," one of his crew called. Vrex hurried over. In what had been the city's central square, a single monument stood. The humans had left it as their only message to the galaxy. Words were carved into the stone in 100 languages. You feared us because we dared to dream. You exiled us because we refused to bow. We leave you with the galaxy you wanted. One without human ambition, human innovation, human hope. May you find it to your liking. The people of Earth. Vrex stared at the words until his eyes burned. Around him, his crew stood in shameful silence. Back in the council chambers, the speaker called for order. We must try again to contact Earth. Apologize. Beg them to return. How? The vegan delegate asked bitterly. We don't even know where they went. Their technology is beyond us. Their stealth systems make them invisible. We cast them out, and now we can't find them even if we wanted to. The Rigelian's voice was heavy with defeat. They warned us. They said democracy has consequences. They said we'd learn the true cost of fear and prejudice. The chamber fell silent. Outside, more lights failed. Another jump gate went dark. Another world lost contact. The great galactic civilization continued its slow collapse. In their arrogance, they had voted to exile Earth. In their fear, they had driven away their greatest allies. Now, as their society crumbled around them, they'd finally understood what they had lost. But understanding came too late. The humans were gone, thriving in their new home among triple suns, and the galaxy they left behind was learning the hardest lesson of all. Some mistakes can't be taken back. Some bridges, once burned, can never be rebuilt. The exile was complete, but it wasn't humanity that suffered in the end. 5 years had passed since humanity vanished into the void. In a galaxy far from the one they'd left behind, the human race had built something wonderful. President Lisa Garcia stood on the observation deck of Terra Nova Station. The view still took her breath away. 3 suns danced in the sky. 1 blue, 1 yellow, 1 orange. Their combined light painted 12 human worlds in colors never seen on Earth. "Madam President, the Shimmers are here for the trade meeting," her aide, Robert Chu, announced. Lisa smiled. The Shimmers were the dolphin-like creatures humanity had met first. They'd become fast friends and eager trading partners. Unlike the old galaxy, these beings saw humans as equals from the start. In the farming valleys of New Eden, children played under the triple sunrise. Maria Santos watched her daughter pick fruit from trees that had been carefully transplanted from Earth. The soil they'd taken from their colonies had mixed with local Earth, creating something new and beautiful. "Mama, why did the mean aliens make us leave?" little Sophia asked. Maria knelt beside her daughter. "They were afraid of us, sweetheart. Afraid because we were different. But their fear led us here, to a better home." "I like it better here," Sophia decided. "We have 3 suns and nice alien friends." Above them, construction crews worked on humanity's newest project. Jump gates were rising again, but these were different. They had safeguards, protections, and a new rule. Only species that treated humans with respect could use them. Admiral Nathan Torres, now head of the Exploration Corps, met with the Council of 3 Suns, the democratic body that governed humanity's new home. "We've made contact with 2 more species in the outer systems," he reported. "The Crystal Weavers and the Cloudancers. Both are interested in trade and cultural exchange." "What's our approach?" asked Council Member David Kim. "Same as always. Open hands, open minds. We share knowledge freely with those who see us as equals." Nathan smiled. "But this time, we keep safeguards. We've learned our lesson about one-sided relationships." In the science labs of New Horizon University, Dr. Charles Yang taught a mixed class of humans and Shimmers. The alien students floated in water-filled tubes while humans sat at desks. Universal translators, better than the old ones, let everyone understand perfectly. "Today we'll study quantum bridge mechanics," he announced. "This is the technology that brought us here. That let us cross the void everyone said was impossible." A young Shimmer raised a flipper. "Professor, will humans share this technology with us?" "Of course," Charles replied. "But remember our agreement. Knowledge is shared among equals. As long as we respect each other, we grow together." In the new capital city of Trinity, President Garcia met with Ambassador 3 Ripples of the Shimmers. The alien skin patterns shifted with emotion as they discussed their latest project. "The medical exchange program is working wonderfully," 3 Ripples reported. "Your doctors are learning our healing songs. Our healers are studying your surgery techniques. Together, we've already cured 2 diseases." "This is how it should be," Lisa said. "Different species, different strengths, working together as equals." Through her window, she could see children playing in the parks, human children and young Shimmers splashing in the fountains together. No fear, no prejudice, just joy. 10-year-old Tommy Chen, born during the Exodus, had never known Earth. To him, home was this place of 3 suns and friendly aliens. He played with his Shimmer friend, Bubble Singer, creating art that mixed human drawing with alien light patterns. "My teacher says humans came from far away," Bubble Singer said. "Is it true you had only 1 son?" "That's what my mom tells me," Tommy replied. And the aliens there were mean. They didn't want to be friends. "That's silly," Bubble Singer decided. Being friends is the best part. As the sun set in their complex dance, humanity's new worlds glowed with life and hope. Cities grew, trade flourished, knowledge flowed freely among species that respected each other. Lisa Garcia stood in her office, looking at an old photo of Earth. She felt no anger toward the galaxy that had exiled them. In trying to cage humanity's spirit, they had set it free. In pushing humans away, they had pushed them toward something better. A child's laughter drifted through her window. Human and alien voices mixed in play. This was humanity's future, not as exiles, but as builders of something new. Not as outcasts, but as the heart of a young alliance based on mutual respect. She touched the photo gently, then put it away. Earth would always be humanity's birthplace. But here, under three suns, among friends who saw them as equals, humanity had found its true home. The galaxy had voted to exile Earth. In the end, they had done humanity the greatest favor possible. They had set them free to find their destiny among the stars. The massive chamber hummed with the voices of 17 different species. Tall, thin aliens with skin like polished silver stood next to squat creatures with multiple eyes. Tentacled diplomats floated in gravity bubbles beside feathered beings who clicked and whistled as they spoke. This was the Grand Council of the Galactic Federation, and today they faced a crisis. Ambassador Zillith, with his blue-gray skin and 4 arms, tapped the crystal podium. The room fell silent. "Fellow representatives," he said, his voice translator making his words understandable to all, "we must discuss the humans again." A worried murmur spread through the chamber. Some delegates visibly shuddered. "The sleep chambers on Earth are showing unusual activity patterns," continued Zillith. "Our scientists believe some humans may be waking up naturally." The room erupted in panic. A reptilian delegate named Sorex slammed his clawed hand on the table. "Impossible. The sleep was designed to last another 2 centuries. Zillith raised his 4 hands. "Please, remain calm. We have followed the agreement made with Jack Miller, their last diplomat. The human race chose sleep until they were ready to join us peacefully. We have watched over them as promised." On the large screen behind Zillith appeared images of Earth, beautiful blue oceans, green forests, and white clouds. Then the view zoomed in to show vast underground bunkers where millions of humans slept in special pods. "For 300 years, the rule has been clear," said Zillith. "Never wake the humans. Every child in the galaxy learns this before they learn to count." An older alien with wrinkled purple skin and wise eyes spoke up. "Perhaps we should remind everyone why this rule exists." Zillith nodded. "Thank you, Elder Moba." He touched a control, and the screen changed to show old recordings. The council watched in silence as humans fought terrible wars against each other. They built weapons that could destroy entire cities. They created machines that could think. They reached their moon when they barely understood space travel. They advanced faster than any species the galaxy had ever seen. In just 10,000 years, they went from cave paintings to space rockets, said Zillith. No other species has ever developed so quickly. Their creativity is matched only by their capacity for violence. Elder Moba added, "When Jack Miller proposed the Great Sleep, it was a gift. Humans had nearly destroyed themselves in their Third World War. They recognized their own danger. The sleep gave Earth time to heal and gave humans time to mature as a species." A scientist named Dr. Yeel stepped forward, her tentacles waving nervously. The sleep chambers showing activity belonged to their military leaders, the ones they called the last defense. "If they wake fully." "We cannot allow it," said Sorex. "We must increase the sleep medication." Zillith shook his head. "We promised not to interfere with their natural processes. That was the deal." Just then, the chamber doors burst open. A small drone flew in, projecting the image of Susan Wright. Although she looked human, everyone knew she was an AI construct based on human patterns, one of the few human voices still active in the galaxy. "Ambassador Zillith," she said urgently, "we have a bigger problem." The Varaxian Empire has destroyed 3 of our outposts near the Sol system. Their fleet is headed toward Earth. Complete silence fell over the room. They know about the humans, Susan continued. They know what humans can do. They plan to destroy Earth while the humans sleep. Zilith's normally blue face turned pale. How long do we have? 2 standard weeks, maybe less, said Susan. Elder Moba's ancient voice quavered as she spoke. We face an impossible choice. If we leave humans asleep, the Varaxians will destroy them. If we wake them, Zilith finished, we may save them from the Varaxians, but release upon the galaxy the most unpredictable force it has ever known. The Grand Council chamber fell silent again, as the representatives of 17 peaceful civilizations considered which fate was worse. Susan Wright's hologram flickered as she displayed images of the destroyed Federation outposts. Smoking ruins and broken ships floated in space where once peaceful research stations had been. The council members watched in horror. The Varaxian ships use weapons we have never seen before, Susan explained. They cut through our shields like they aren't even there. Commander Kraz, the Federation's military advisor, stepped forward. His body was covered in hard plates that clicked as he moved. We have already lost 3 battle groups trying to slow them down. Our weapons barely damaged their ships. Ambassador Zilith looked around the room. How did the Varaxians become so powerful? They were a minor species just 50 years ago. They found something in the deep space beyond the Andromeda Arm, said Susan. Our spies say they discovered ancient technology. They have been using it to build their empire. Elder Moba's eyes closed briefly. They are following the path that nearly destroyed the humans, finding power before finding wisdom. On the large screen, a map of the galaxy showed a red stain spreading as the Varaxian Empire grew. A line of red dots moved steadily toward the Sol system, Earth's home. Their leader, Commander Vox, has made his intentions clear, Susan continued. He believes that whoever controls Earth controls the galaxy. But the humans are asleep, said a small furry delegate. What threat are they to anyone now? Susan projected a new image, a Varaxian message that had been intercepted. A tall, gray-skinned alien with red eyes and sharp teeth spoke in a harsh voice. The translation appeared beneath him. The humans are the only species who ever created weapons that could threaten us. Their technology, their way of thinking, it is different. Even their weapons from 300 years ago could damage our ships. We cannot allow them to wake. Earth must be destroyed. The council room grew quiet again. They fear what humans might become, said Zilith softly. Dr. Yiel's tentacles trembled. The Varaxians are right to be afraid. I have studied human history. Their capacity for warfare is unlike anything in the galaxy. They created weapons specifically to kill other humans. No other species ever did this. Susan's hologram grew larger, and that is exactly why we need them now. The words hung in the air like a dangerous cloud. You cannot be serious, said Sorex, hissing through sharp teeth. Wake the humans. Have you forgotten the rule? I have not forgotten, said Susan, but rules must sometimes be broken to save lives. Zilith tapped his crystal podium again. Let us be clear about what we are discussing. The Varaxians will reach Earth in 2 weeks. Our forces cannot stop them. If we do nothing, millions of sleeping humans will die, never knowing what happened to them. And if we wake them? Asked Elder Moba. What then? Susan's holographic face showed no emotion, but her voice grew stronger. We wake only a few at first. They're military leaders. We explain the situation. We ask for their help. Commander Kraz laughed, a harsh barking sound. And you think they will help us? After we kept them asleep for centuries. They chose the sleep, Susan reminded him. And humans value life, even the lives of those different from them. It was in all their best stories. A new alert flashed on the main screen. Varaxian scouts had been detected near Neptune, at the edge of Earth's solar system. They were moving faster than expected. We are out of time, said Zilith. We must vote now." The representatives of 17 peaceful civilizations looked at each other. Fear was in every face, every eye, every tentacle and wing. "All those in favor of waking the humans, raise your hands or appendages," said Zilith. Slowly, reluctantly, hands and claws and tentacles began to rise. Not all, but enough. Zilith bowed his head. "Then it is decided. May the stars have mercy on us all. Susan, begin the awakening protocol. But only for the 50 humans in Bunker 1. The military specialists." "Yes, Ambassador," said Susan. Her hologram flickered and vanished as she left to carry out the order. Elder Moba's ancient voice whispered what everyone was thinking. The galaxy will never be the same again. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility once called the Last Resort, 50 sleep pods began to hiss. Lights blinked from red to yellow to green. Inside each pod, a human body that had been still for 300 years started to warm. Susan's hologram appeared in the center of the room. She watched nervously as Federation medical staff moved between the pods. These aliens had never seen an awake human before. "Be careful," Susan warned them. "The first one to wake will be Commander Daniel Blackwood. He was the leader of Earth's unified defense forces before the sleep." Dr. Yeel checked the vital signs on the main pod. "His heart rate is increasing. Brain activity is almost at normal levels." A loud beep came from the pod, and then the clear cover slid open with a soft whoosh. Inside lay a man with short brown hair and a strong jaw. His eyes opened. They were deep blue and confused. Where am I?" His voice was rough from centuries of silence. "Commander Blackwood," said Susan, moving her hologram closer. "You are in the Earth Preservation Facility. You have been asleep for 312 years." Daniel tried to sit up, but his muscles were weak. A medical alien approached to help him, and Daniel's eyes went wide with shock. "What the hell is that?" he shouted, trying to back away. "Please remain calm, Commander," said Susan. "These are Zentari medical staff. They are allies." Daniel stared at Susan, then at the alien, then back at Susan. "You look human, but you're flickering." "I am an AI construct based on human patterns. My name is Susan Wright. I was created to be a bridge between humans and the Galactic Federation." Daniel's training took over, pushing aside his shock. "Why have I been woken up?" The sleep was supposed to last 500 years. Before Susan could answer, more pods began to open. A woman with dark hair sat up quickly, her eyes alert despite just waking. "Status report," she demanded. "Laura Martinez," Susan identified her. "Tactical specialist." Nearby, a tall man with glasses examined his pod with interest. "This technology has been modified. These aren't the same pods we went to sleep in." A fourth pod opened, revealing a woman with short blonde hair who immediately looked for weapons. "Where's my kit? What's going on?" As the rest of the pods opened, the room filled with confused and alarmed humans. Some reacted with fear, others with curiosity. All of them looked to Daniel. He stood shakily, leaning on his pod. "Everyone stay calm. I want answers, and I'm sure you do too." He looked directly at Susan. "Start talking." Susan's hologram grew larger so everyone could see her. "Humanity has slept while the galaxy changed around you. Earth has healed from the damage of your wars. The Galactic Federation has watched over you as was agreed with Jack Miller before the sleep." Susan's face grew serious. "Because the Federation faces an enemy it cannot defeat alone. The Varaxian Empire has conquered a third of the galaxy with technology beyond our understanding. They are now approaching Earth with the intention of destroying all sleeping humans." The room went silent. "Less than 2 weeks before their main fleet arrives. Scout ships are already at the edge of your solar system." Daniel looked around at his fellow soldiers. "And you expect us to help you, after keeping us asleep for centuries?" Susan's hologram flickered. "You chose the sleep, Commander, and now we are asking for your help because there is no other option." "What about the rest of humanity? asked Eric, looking at the thousands of other pods visible through glass walls. The council authorized waking only your group for now. The military specialists, the ones trained to handle crises. Daniel walked to a view screen on the wall. Show me these Varaxians. Show me their ships, their weapons, everything you have. Susan nodded, and the screen filled with images of sleek gray ships with red marking. Their technology seems to be based on principles humans theorized but never fully developed, something you called dark energy manipulation. Kate Williams moved closer to the screen, her eyes narrowing. Those weapon placements. I've seen designs like that before. Daniel turned to face his team. They're waking us because they're desperate. But they're also giving us a chance to fight for our sleeping people. He looked at Susan. We'll help you, but on our terms. First, I want access to Earth's defense network. Second, I want to see what's happened to our planet while we slept. And third, his blue eyes hardened. If we win this war for you, humanity takes its place in this federation as equals, not as science experiments to be put back to sleep. Susan's hologram nodded. The council will agree to your terms, Commander. They have no choice. Daniel looked at the aliens in the room, then at his fellow humans. Then let's get to work. The clock is ticking. The Federation ship glided into Earth orbit, its viewing deck crowded with humans seeing their home planet for the first time in 3 centuries. Daniel pressed his hand against the glass. Earth looked different. More blue, more green, less brown. The scars of human wars had healed during their long sleep. It's beautiful, whispered Laura, standing beside him. And soon to be a battlefield again, Daniel said grimly. Unless we stop these Varaxians. Ambassador Zillith entered the viewing deck, his 4 arms held close to his body in a gesture of respect. The humans still made him nervous, especially how quickly they had adapted to being awake. Commander Blackwood, we have arrived at the defense platform as requested. Daniel turned to face him. Thank you, Ambassador. Now, let's see what's left of our old systems. The orbital platform had once been a human military satellite. Now it was covered in dust, silent for centuries. Eric and Kate led a team inside while Daniel, Laura, and Zillith waited in the ship. Your Federation made changes to our defense network, Daniel said. It wasn't a question. Zillith's skin changed color slightly, a sign of discomfort. Minor adjustments only, to monitor for natural disasters that might threaten the sleeping humans. Daniel's eyes narrowed. And to make sure we couldn't wake up and start building weapons again. Before Zillith could respond, Eric's voice came through the communication system. Commander, you're going to want to see this. Inside the platform, Eric had activated old computer systems. Screens flickered to life, showing a map of the solar system. Red dots were moving past Neptune. The Varaxian scouts, Laura said, studying the display. They're faster than we expected. Kate was examining an old weapons station. Most of our missile systems are dead, but the energy grid is still functional. We could power up the laser defenses with some work. Daniel turned to Zillith. We need more time, and we need access to your Federation technology. Back on the main Federation ship, Susan had prepared a meeting room. Human military specialists sat on one side of a large table, Federation scientists and engineers on the other. The tension in the room was thick. Eric spread out diagrams of Federation shields and engines. Your technology is impressive, but too passive. You focused on defense, not offense. A Federation engineer named Grell, whose body resembled a tall insect, clicked his mandibles nervously. Our species have evolved beyond the need for weapons of war. Kate laughed. That's great until someone like the Varaxians comes along who hasn't evolved beyond wanting your stuff. Laura studied the star charts showing Varaxian fleet movements. They're using a standard attack formation. Predictable. That gives us an advantage. Daniel stood at the head of the table. Here's what we're going to do. Eric, take a team and modify 3 Federation ships with human weapon designs. Kate, I want you to reactivate Earth's orbital defense grid. Laura, Develop a battle strategy that will surprise these Varaxians. The humans moved with purpose, their energy filling the room. Federation crew members watched in amazement as the humans worked tirelessly, sleeping only a few hours each night. On the third day, Ambassador Zilith found Daniel alone on the viewing deck, watching Earth rotate below. "You work differently than any species I have ever seen," Zilith said. "So focused, so driven." Daniel didn't look away from Earth. "We've always been good at war, Ambassador. It's peace we struggle with." "The Council is worried," Zilith admitted. "They fear what will happen after this conflict if you succeed." Now Daniel turned to face him. "They're afraid we won't go back to sleep. Will you?" Daniel's face was calm but determined. "Would you, if you were us? 300 years of your life taken away, woken up only when needed as weapons." Zilith had no answer. A sudden alarm blared through the ship. Susan's hologram appeared. "Varaxian warships have entered the inner solar system. They've bypassed Jupiter's moons and are heading straight for Earth." Daniel's expression didn't change. "Tell Laura to prepare her tactical team. Tell Eric to launch the modified ships." He looked once more at Earth, then back at Zilith. "It's time to show the galaxy why everyone was so afraid of waking the humans." The 3 modified Federation ships moved into position near Mars. They looked strange now, with added weapon systems that Eric and his team had built using old human designs and new Federation materials. Laura led from the first ship, her voice calm as she gave orders. "Remember the plan. Let them think we're weak. Let them come to us." On the main Federation vessel, Daniel watched the monitors with Kate and several nervous alien officials. The Varaxian fleet was impressive. 20 large warships with hundreds of smaller fighters. Their gray hulls gleamed with red markings as they moved steadily toward Earth. "They're not even trying to hide," Kate said. "They think this will be easy." The lead Varaxian ship sent a transmission. On the screen appeared Commander Vox, tall, gray-skinned, with red eyes and sharp teeth. His voice was deep and scratchy. "Federation ship, this is Commander Vox of the Varaxian Empire. Surrender Earth to us, and we will allow your vessel to leave the system unharmed." Daniel stepped forward where Vox could see him. "This is Commander Daniel Blackwood of Earth. We're not going anywhere." Vox's red eyes widened in surprise. A human. Awake. He turned to someone off-screen. They broke their own rule. Then back to Daniel. "It changes nothing. Your sleeping race will be eliminated today." The transmission ended. Daniel looked at Kate. "Now we find out if your modifications work." The Varaxian fleet accelerated toward Mars, where Laura's 3 ships waited. The aliens on the Federation vessel held their breath. They had never seen humans fight before. The Varaxian ships fired first, red energy beams cutting through space toward Laura's small force. At the last second, the human-modified shields flickered blue, absorbing the attack. "Now," Laura ordered. Her 3 ships split apart, moving in a pattern the Varaxians had never seen before. They fired strange weapons, not energy beams, but clouds of tiny metal particles that spread out in space. "What are they doing?" Ambassador Zilith asked, confused. Kate smiled. "Old human trick. Shrapnel field. Makes their fancy targeting systems useless." On the screens, they watched as the Varaxian ships tried to navigate through the clouds of metal particles. Their shields flickered as thousands of tiny impacts wore them down. When they tried to fire, their energy beams scattered through the metal clouds, becoming harmless. Laura's ships used the confusion to dart close to the larger Varaxian vessels, placing small devices on their hulls before pulling away. "Magnetic pulse bombs," Kate explained. 3, 2, 1. The devices detonated simultaneously, not with fire or explosion, but with waves of energy that made the Varaxian ships go dark. Their engines died. Their weapons stopped working. "How?" Zilith asked in amazement. "Your weapons are so primitive compared to theirs. Sometimes old and simple beats new and complicated," Daniel said. They expected energy weapons and fancy shields. We gave them nuts and bolts and magnets. But the battle wasn't over. The Varaxian commander was clever. His flagship avoided the trap and continued toward Earth with 5 other ships. "Commander," Susan's hologram appeared. "The defense platform is ready." Daniel nodded. Kate lighted up. Around Earth, orbital platforms that had been silent for centuries came to life. Laser arrays powered up, their energy gathered from the sun over hundreds of years, now ready to fire. As the Varaxian ships entered Earth orbit, the platforms fired simultaneously. Beams of concentrated light sliced through 3 enemy vessels before they could react. The others scattered, trying to avoid the deadly fire. On his flagship, Commander Vox raged at his crew. How is this possible? They are supposed to be a sleeping, primitive species. The view screen on his ship lit up, showing Daniel's face. "You made a mistake, Commander Vox. You thought because we were asleep, we were helpless. You thought because our technology is older, it's weaker." Daniel's blue eyes were cold. "But there's something you should know about humans." A warning alarm sounded on Vox's ship as more human-modified vessels appeared behind them, cutting off their escape. "We're at our most dangerous when we're fighting for our survival," Daniel finished. The trap closed around the remaining Varaxian ships. Commander Vox was brought onto the Federation ship in energy restraints. His gray skin looked pale, and his red eyes burned with anger as Daniel and Ambassador Zillith entered the holding room. "You fight without honor," Vox spat, "using tricks and traps instead of facing us directly." Daniel sat down across from the alien commander. "We fight to win. Honor doesn't mean much if your people are dead." "The rest of the Varaxian fleet will come," Vox warned. "This was only our first attack force. Our empire spans 1/3 of the galaxy now." Zillith's forehands trembled slightly. "He speaks the truth, Commander Blackwood. We have reports of more Varaxian ships gathering." Daniel leaned forward. "Tell me about this ancient technology your people found, the one that made you so powerful." Vox smiled, showing sharp teeth. "Why should I tell you anything?" "Because I'm curious why you're so afraid of humans. Your fleet came straight to Earth, bypassing easier Federation targets." The Varaxian commander was silent for a moment. Then he laughed, a harsh, unpleasant sound. "The technology we found, it was human." Zillith gasped. Daniel's face showed no emotion. "Impossible," Zillith said. "Humans never left their solar system before the sleep." "Not these humans," Vox explained. "An earlier cycle. The galaxy is very old, Ambassador. Species rise and fall. Humans have been here before, long ago. We found their ruins, their machines, their weapons. Your Federation knew this. That's why they put you to sleep." Daniel looked at Zillith. "Is this true?" The ambassador's skin changed color rapidly. Some ancient records suggest a humanoid species once controlled this region of space, long before the Federation existed. But we never knew for certain they were human." Daniel stood up abruptly and left the room. He found Laura and the others waiting outside. "We need to wake more humans," he said. "Not just soldiers, scientists, engineers, historians. We need to understand what's really happening here." Susan's hologram appeared. "The Council has already authorized waking an additional 500 humans based on your initial success against the Varaxians." The next few days passed in a blur of activity. More sleep pods opened in the underground facility. Confused humans were briefed on the situation. Some reacted with fear, others with fascination or anger. Eric led a team examining the captured Varaxian ships. "Their technology is strange," he reported to Daniel. "Advanced in some ways, primitive in others. Like they're using tools they don't fully understand." Kate had been working with a group of newly awakened engineers. "We've modified 6 more Federation ships with our weapon designs, and we've started production on smaller fighter craft in the old factories in North America." Daniel nodded, impressed by how quickly humans had adapted. "And the defense grid?" "Fully operational. Kate said proudly. "We can protect Earth now." Laura entered the command center with a serious expression. "We just received a message from the edge of the solar system. A much larger Varaxian force is coming. At least 100 ships." Daniel wasn't surprised. "How long?" "1 week. Maybe less." Ambassador Zilith and the other Federation representatives looked worried. "We should request reinforcements from the Federation," Zilith suggested. Daniel shook his head. "There's no time. And from what I've seen, your ships wouldn't help much anyway." He turned to Susan. "We need to wake more humans." Susan's hologram flickered. "How many?" "All of them." The room went silent. "Commander," Zilith said carefully, "there are millions of humans in stasis. The Council only authorize—" "I don't care what your Council authorized," Daniel interrupted. "This is no longer just about defending Earth from one attack. The Varaxians have been using old human technology to conquer a third of the galaxy. We need to understand what we're really fighting." He looked around at the aliens and humans in the room. "This isn't just a battle anymore. It's a war for survival. And I want my people awake for it." No one argued with him. They had all seen what just 50 humans could do. The thought of millions was both thrilling and terrifying. In orbit around Earth, the first truly human ships in 3 centuries were taking shape, built with a combination of old human designs and new Federation materials. They looked unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. The sleeping giant was not just awake. It was getting ready to fight back. Earth was waking up. Across the planet, sleep facilities hummed with activity as millions of humans opened their eyes for the first time in 3 centuries. Cities that had been silent were filling with voices again. Lights glowed in buildings that had been dark for generations. From orbit, Daniel watched his planet come alive. The look on his face was a mix of pride and worry. "It's a beautiful sight," said Laura, joining him at the viewing window. "And a dangerous one," Daniel replied. "The Federation is terrified of what we're doing." Ambassador Zilith had indeed been sending urgent messages to the Council. The decision to wake all humans had not been approved. But there was little the Federation could do now. Humans were taking control of their own fate. On the command ship, Eric burst into the meeting room, where Daniel, Laura, and Kate were discussing strategy. "We found something," he said, his eyes wide with excitement. "In the old archives, records from before the sleep that were hidden from the Federation." He placed a small device on the table. It projected images of space, star maps, and strange structures floating among distant planets. "Our ancestors were farther into space than we were told," Eric explained. "They found ruins, ancient technology. But they also found warnings." Kate leaned closer to the images. "Warnings about what?" "About the dangers of using the technology without understanding it. Our ancestors decided to stop exploration, to focus on fixing Earth's problems first. That's one reason they agreed to the sleep." Daniel studied the star maps carefully. "These locations, many of them are now in Varaxian territory." "Exactly," said Eric. "The Varaxians found what our ancestors left behind. But they ignored the warnings." Susan's hologram appeared. "Commander, the Varaxian fleet has entered the outer solar system. 98 ships confirmed." Daniel stood up. "It's time. Launch our fleet." From Earth's orbit, 300 ships moved out to meet the Varaxian force. They were smaller than the enemy vessels, but faster, more agile. Many had been Federation ships just days ago, now transformed by human engineers. Laura took command of the lead ship. Daniel stayed in orbit to coordinate the defense of Earth itself. Kate had prepared special weapons for the coming battle. As the 2 fleets approached each other near Jupiter's orbit, the Varaxians sent a transmission. It wasn't Commander Vox this time, but a different Varaxian. Taller, with darker gray skin and larger red eyes. "I am High Commander Nex of the Varaxian Empire. You hold our commander prisoner. You resist the inevitable. Your primitive species cannot hope to defeat us." Daniel responded calmly. "This is Commander Blackwood of Earth. We have no quarrel with your empire. Leave our system, and there can be peace between us. Nex laughed. Peace? Your kind doesn't understand peace. We found your old ruins. We know what humans are capable of. The galaxy will be safer with your species eliminated. The transmission ended. Daniel turned to Kate. They're afraid of us, of what we might become. They should be, Kate said with a grim smile. The battle began with the Varaxians firing first, just as they had before. But this time, the human fleet didn't try to absorb the attack. Instead, the ships split apart, moving in patterns that seemed random but were carefully planned by Laura. The Varaxians couldn't target them effectively. Their large ships were designed for power, not speed. The human vessels darted between them, firing weapons that disrupted their engines and shields rather than trying to destroy them outright. From his captured cell, Commander Vox watched the battle on a small screen. His expression changed from confidence to worry to fear as he saw the human strategy unfold. You don't understand what you're facing, he said quietly to the Federation guard watching him. Humans don't fight like other species. They don't think like other species. In space, a group of Varaxian ships clustered together for protection. Laura saw the opportunity and gave the order. 10 human ships released clouds of tiny robots, each no bigger than an insect, that attached to the Varaxian hulls and began cutting through their armor. Another group of human ships led by Kate fired strange weapons that didn't damage the Varaxian vessels but disrupted the crew inside, making them confused and disoriented. High Commander Nex watched in growing horror as his orderly attack turned into chaos. The humans weren't fighting by any rules he understood. They weren't trying to match strength with strength. They were turning his own fleet against itself. And behind this first wave of human ships, more were coming. Earth was fully awake now, and its entire industrial capacity was focused on one goal: survival. The battle lasted 3 days. When it was over, the once mighty Varaxian fleet was in ruins. Damaged ships drifted in space. Those that could still fly were retreating, sending urgent messages back to their empire. On the Federation command ship, Daniel met with Ambassador Zillith and the council members who had traveled to Earth to see the situation for themselves. The aliens looked at him with a mixture of fear, respect, and wonder. You defeated a force 3 times your size, said Elder Moba, her ancient eyes wide. No Federation species could have done this. Daniel nodded. We had advantages. We were fighting for our home. And we think differently than you do. Or than the Varaxians do, added Laura, who had just returned from the battle. Her uniform was wrinkled from 3 days without sleep, but her eyes were alert. Eric and Kate joined them, bringing star maps and data from the captured Varaxian ships. Eric pointed to several locations deep in Varaxian territory. These are the sites where they found the ancient technology, the ruins of what might have been human settlements from thousands of years ago. Kate added, and this is why they're so afraid of us. They think if we reach our full potential, we'll take back everything they've built with our old technology. The council members looked troubled. One of them, a tall being made of what looked like crystal, spoke in a musical voice. What will you do now, Commander Blackwood? Your people are awake. Your ships are armed. The Federation's greatest fear has come true. Daniel looked out the viewing window at Earth, now bright with lights from awakened cities. That depends on you. We want to join the galaxy as equals, not as weapons to be used when needed and put away when feared. Ambassador Zillith's 4 hands made a gesture of acceptance. The Council has already voted. Earth will be granted full membership in the Federation, with all rights and protections. And responsibilities, added Elder Moba. Of course, Daniel agreed. We will help defend the Federation against the Varaxians, but not by conquering them, by showing them a better way forward. Susan's hologram appeared. We're receiving a transmission from the Varaxian homeworld. It's not from their military. It's from their civilian leadership. A new face appeared on the screen. A female Varaxian with lighter gray skin and orange eyes instead of red. Her voice was softer than Commander Vox's or High Commander Nex's. "I am Grand Minister Tala of the Varaxian people. We wish to discuss terms of peace." Daniel's eyebrows rose in surprise. That was fast. Later, as human and Federation ships patrolled the space around Earth, Daniel met with Laura, Eric, and Kate in a quiet room overlooking the Pacific Ocean. The sun was setting, painting the sky in colors they hadn't seen in 300 years. "What do you think happened?" Laura asked. "Why did the Varaxians ask for peace so quickly?" "They saw how we fight," said Kate. "We could have destroyed their ships, but we disabled them instead. We showed strength and mercy. Two things they didn't expect." Eric nodded. "And their civilian government probably wasn't happy about their military starting a war based on fear of what we might do, rather than what we actually did." Daniel looked out at the sunset. 300 years ago, humanity nearly destroyed itself. The sleep gave us a chance to start over, to be better. He turned to his friends. "The Varaxians found our old technology, but not our old wisdom. Maybe we can teach them both." On the other side of the galaxy, the Federation Council chamber was in session. Many members were still nervous about humans being awake and active in the galaxy again, but others saw new possibilities. "Humans think differently," Ambassador Zillith told the Council. "They see problems in ways we cannot. The Varaxian threat would have destroyed us without their help." Elder Moba's ancient voice silenced the chamber. "For thousands of years, the galaxy feared what humans might become. We put them to sleep because we were afraid. Now we must learn to live with them as partners, not as weapons or threats." As the Council debated, new human ships were leaving Earth, heading out to explore the stars. After 3 centuries of sleep, humanity was fully awake, curious, and ready to take its place in the galaxy. And across the stars, a new unspoken rule was spreading. Never underestimate the humans.